Hello, Sea Wolves, and welcome back to the show. Well, what a 24 hours that was. I guess we have our first official retirement from the race. Maxime Sorel, after springing his ankle and damaging, very unluckily, his main sheet hook, finally decided, I guess, with his medical staff that his injury was too severe and he wasn't really able to effect the necessary repairs, so he's officially out of the race. Very sad to see him go. I talked about him in one of the earlier episodes. He was really one of my top 5 favorites for the race, so that's very sad to see one of those leave so early still in the race. But you know, it always happens, and I guess it's just unfortunate. But yeah, I really wish Maxime and his team the best, and hope he heals fast. So yeah, not the greatest start, but it is what it is, I guess, and that's also part of the Vendeeglobe. Well, before we start with the rest of the report, I hope you all have something delicious in your cup ready to go. I got some tea here again for the people who doubt me. Here we go, 3, 2, 1, to another great 24 hours of racing. So for the show today, we have one kind of cool topic because we have our first split in the fleet. And a split in the fleet is always an interesting moment because, well, we discussed yesterday that there is kind of a fork in the road. Now, there was definitely a chance that all of the skippers would choose one direction because I think one of them is definitely favored. But we see that actually the entire fleet went for one choice, except 2 brave mohicans, which just so happened to be Leroy Jean and Conrad Coleman, who together, I guess, decided to take a more eastern route past the coast of Africa, going kind of over the Canary Islands and taking their chances with the coastal route. Now, is it going to work out? I very much don't know, but we're going to check it out, because it definitely is a very brave choice. And I personally don't know that I agree with it, but then to disagree with Leroy Jean is of course a risk that many people in the previous races have found out to their own dismay, that they should have gone with the man, even when he made like quite uncontroversial choices. So if you guys jump in with me here, let's take a look at what is happening, and kind of fun that it really extends from our conversation yesterday. So I spent a lot of time yesterday kind of explaining the fork. If you're curious about that, look back the video of yesterday if you haven't seen that. So I'm going to assume that you kind of know a bit the situation. But really, in short, there's basically this, let me draw it here for you guys. There's this particular area that is already like very much more or less going into a very low wind. And over the next 10 to 24 hours, that's going to just become more or less a completely windless, high pressure area. And so that's going to be very hard for the skippers to get through. There's just no straight line through it. And yesterday I explained that there are basically 2 options. They can either like go still with some wind and sort of tack over here, kind of past the Canary Islands and make their way that way. But it's, yeah, well, I don't know. Or there is the more longer path, which is much more to the west, which yeah, is slower, so they know that they're not going to make so much progress right away. It's a bit of a longer route also, but I think that looking at the weather, kind of if we scroll through, as far as I was seeing it yesterday, and I think it still holds true right now, the chance of a bit more wind later and actually ending up in the area where you have consistent wind, which is here where you really want to be, is just a bit more advantageous on that side. But neither side really looks great, right? There are some problems with low wind anyway. And so what we see now is that today Jean and Conrad basically made the choice to go for the other route. And so let's take a look with the current weather predictions now, if I think it's a good idea. So if I take this entire zone where we have kind of the Azores High doing its thing, And if we go back to, let's say, 1 hour, so kind of current time, which is 3:30 exactly, as we're recording this. So we see that the entire fleet here, everybody chose to head for the western route, and we have Jean here and Conrad here, intending to go kind of a route that's more here on the right, kind of in that sense. Now, if we scroll through, so 4 hours, you see that right route definitely increasing in blue again. 7 hours, 10 hours already very blue, 13, 16. Then you can really see this, let me take another color here, this just vast area of blue here. And so for me, the question now is there enough time for them, because this is, well, 16 hours from now, is there enough time for them to make it through this area, like basically to here, to the islands where they will have enough wind, and then they can start to make their way west, compared to the other route? And I would say still that the particular piece of the route to kind of get through this really low wind problems that are there is, I would say, at good speed, so doing 10, 12, maybe 16, 17 knots, will take them probably 24 hours or so, maybe a little bit longer. It's like a 28 hour or something stretch, I think, of road that they have to go. Whilst the prediction between now and 16 hours from now is what we're looking at for weather, which is like extremely light, basically 6 knots. So that's still sailable. They'll do some distance, but it's extremely slow, whilst the rest of the route definitely has patches that are equally slow, even like 3, 4 knots. But the rest of the route looks better, and if we scroll through 25, we just see that on that particular road here, there's quite a good, seems to me, more or less a little bit green at least all the time, road through there, whilst on the more eastern side it continues to just be completely dead. So I would say that actually in this particular split, though I'm very interested what the results are going to be, because it could mean that we see both Jean and Conrad take a little bit of a head start on the rest of the group if it works out, right? They could arrive a little bit earlier and get a bit of a head start there. Or this could like backfire quite terribly. I would say that the risk reward in this particular case, I would say I would call it very high. That would be the description that I would give to it, because if they get really stuck in this particular area with very light winds, compared to the rest of the fleet, they will be going a longer route with also low winds, but I don't know, with the current speeds that especially the foiling and moccas are making, we have a new speed record over 1,000 miles in 1,000 kilometers, sorry. 1,000 kilometers, so 600 something miles in 24 hours. So that means if Jean and Conrad get stuck for, let's say, just 24 hours, and if the moccas, they're not blasting very fast because they don't have a lot of, but if they do, let's say, 1/3 of that, they could still end up, 200, 300 miles behind the rest of the fleet. Whilst the upside, so if they make it through and they have a bit of shorter route, I would say with them, non-foilers against the foilers, the gain will probably, in my estimation, not be necessarily so huge. So on the one hand, as a non-foiler, it's hard for them to really compete, right? So they have to find chances like this in order to maybe get ahead and find an edge. And Jean is especially good in this. So yeah, I'm actually super curious to see how this will go, and if Jean, with this new boat, I mean, it's a new design, it's very buoyant, lots of volume, so I definitely do believe that maybe Jean, with his new design, knows that he has some edge, maybe in very light winds or something like that he'll make it through and will surprise us all. It could definitely happen. Conrad, I'm not so sure about as far as his boat design, doing something really special there. Take a look here what Conrad had to say about it.
Another sunrise, another island.
That's right. That's La Palma in the Canary Islands. And the fact that I see that today means that I have changed strategy. I'm no longer diving out into the middle of the Atlantic. I'm going down the African coast. Let me explain. I was looking at the routing with you guys yesterday, and this I think will help explain. Basically, I'm up here now, and the fleet is here, and there's a big obstacle in the way. That is this bit here. Basically, there's a zone with no wind at all. And there are two ways of going about that. One is where almost everybody's going. There's out into that way, and then squiggle, 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 make it through, and then down into the doldrums. And then the route that Jean Le Cam and I have chosen, that is down through the Canary Islands, along the African coast, and then underneath the Cape Verdes, and then into the doldrums. Now, this decision, which way to go, almost broke me. And that's because seeing everybody going this way and seeing Jean and now finally me going this way, well, that's scary. Even though I come from New Zealand, I'm not just trying to be a black sheep, be a renegade here. I thought a lot about this, and hopefully, hope doesn't come into it. And that's because I have several reasons as to why I chose this option. First off, the routing all said go this way. Okay, cool, case closed. Also, I have a really good boat that's made for downwind conditions, and my spinnaker is still in good shape. And so I think I can effectively execute this option really well. I know that there are several other boats that either don't have a spinnaker or have lost them subsequently. And that means that maybe they never considered this as an option, even if they wanted to. So they're fully committed out into the western option. Also, statistically, if the trade winds are broken as they are now, then they should reformulate, or there should be a band of winds down the African coast. It's due to a local low pressure system over the continent. And also, Jean Le Cam has gone this way, and I'm not by myself, and he's got a similar boat, and he's got lots of experience in weather routing too. So I'm not the only one making a mistake going this way, if indeed it does turn out to be that way. And then also about the western option, there is a complete shutdown forecast, and so that's scary. You never know how long they can last for. Also, with my option going underneath Madeira, I was poorly positioned in the fleet to fully execute that option, and so I was afraid that I was going to lose little bit by little bit, even if I was doing the safe option with everybody else, because I was not fully optimizing that solution. So basically, weather statistics, sail plan, having a boat that's really good at going downwind and less good at reaching, all means that I chose this option.
Yeah, so all in all, very interesting, and I guess over the next 24 hours we're just gonna find out what the result will be. Now let's take a look at an update from Boris.
Hi, good morning everyone. What a nice surprise with the tracker update being in third position. And such a calm morning. Let me have some good rest, and I had some quite good deep sleep this morning with some dreams. And then after that extra sleep, I open the tracker and I see us in third. So sleeping to third, that sounds like a joke, but it's a nice surprise this morning. There is. We had 25 knots sometimes at night, and I was very, very close all the time with Justine on teamwork. And at some stages we were looking out to not be in danger of being too close. She called me up once when she didn't like me being so close, which is totally normal, and just to check in whether I was sleeping or not. And so yeah, that kept us a little bit alert. But then at one stage she went a little bit closer angle to the wind, a little bit more north in her course, and since then I didn't see her for the second half of the night. It was a beautiful night with lots of stars, moon, and generally a calm sea. Just the wind was extremely gusty and unstable. But all is good this morning. Hope you're having a good day, and more news later today. Ciao.
So Boris looking a lot better, a bit more well rested and well underway now, and actually in third position, so very cool. And I guess one final little update for today, that actually Clarice Kramer on Lossy 10 lost her, I think it was her A1, so really her light wind sail overboard for some reason. And I guess that actually could come back to bite her in the upcoming time, because for at least probably 2 days we're going to have some very, very light wind sailing. Now she has a great super modern, latest design boat, so she'll probably do okay. But if she really is missing one of her like main Jenniker type light wind sails, that could of course mean that some of the other foilers might be able to really run away from her in the very light stuff. I guess over the next 24 hours we're going to find out a lot of results. So looking forward how the split is going to work out, looking forward how things will develop in the rest of the fleet who are kind of following the same path. They could also really all get stuck in the same kind of windless area and be stuck there for a long time while Conrad and Jean just breeze through. Stranger things have happened during this race. So all in all, plenty for the next 24 hours to look out for. I hope you're going to enjoy. Thank you all again for watching. Make sure to please like, subscribe, share the video with anybody else that you think might be interested. Thank you all for your great support with the sweaters, hoodies. They're like flying off the shelf. It's amazing. So thank you all for that. Really fun to see. And I guess we'll see each other again tomorrow. Ciao, ciao.